I think it's a testament to the projects you picked that it's not very easy to summarize some of these characters. So I'm going to mention another that you'll bear with me during the wind-up. In 2011, Win-Win, a movie directed by Tom McCarthy, who would then do Spotlight. You played Mike Flaherty, a struggling lawyer and part-time high school wrestling coach who convinces a judge to make him the guardian of an elderly client who is falling into dementia. And this man who you play then puts that man in a nursing home while still collecting the monthly stipend for caring for him. Right. And you then are visited by a 16-year-old grandson of that man. Now, the writer, Steve Tessick, the director, Tom McCarthy, and yourself shared one thing in common, at least one thing in common, which is that you had all been wrestlers yourself.
Yeah, I'm a high school wrestling coach in it too. And so a lot of the movie centers around wrestling. Yeah, those two guys really wrestled. I did it for one semester and learned very quickly that this was a huge mistake. I mean, all of it was just a nightmare, you know, getting beaten up and then having to lose weight and stuff. And I was like, this is for the birds. So I went and joined the swimming team. Because I was like, I'm gonna go float in a pool. And like, I'm not doing this getting beaten up crap anymore. No, I'm not, it's not good with me.
Now, going back fictionally into the wrestling world with Tom, who is also an actor. He had been, I think, The Wire.
Great actor.
Great actor. And in fact, you guys went to school together, right?
Yeah, he went for acting. We went to the drama school together.
Drama school.
Yeah.
So being directed by a fellow actor generally in this, or specifically in this case, Tom, does that bring out anything different in you?
Probably. I mean, I think you maybe relax around them a little bit differently. They also, the really great thing, I remember I worked with George Clooney, and he directed a movie I was in too called The Ides of March. What they really do is they anticipate what's going to be tricky. They'll say, you know, I know this is going to be hard, or that they can just see ahead. They think the way an actor does, going, that scene's going to be tricky. How am I going to do, blah, blah, blah. So they'll, you know, they'll say, well, let's work on this beforehand. Let's get all this straight. You know, they're just, whereas a lot of the time people are just throwing things at the actor and throwing them into a situation. Actor directors, they can anticipate the problems you're going to run into in a nice way.
Well, interestingly enough, the Ides of March, which you mentioned, was that same year, and you are playing the manager of the campaign opposing the campaign of George Clooney's candidate that's run by Philip Seymour Hoffman and Ryan Gosling. And I've always sort of thought that your career and Philip Seymour Hoffman's career, there are similarities, there are parallels, and just bottom line, two great actors who have unbelievable versatility. This month marks 10 years since his passing. Yeah. I wonder, you know, when you guys are both in this movie together, did you get a chance to exchange notes and get to know each other?
I knew Phil for a long time. I didn't know him well, but frequently as an actor, you have another person, you get kind of twinned with them as you come up, and you go in on the same parts. He and I did that for a long time. You'd get a part, he'd get a part, you know, it would go back and forth for years. So I knew him for years, and we would trade things off, and at a certain point, his greatness became pretty evident, and he moved into another realm because he was an extraordinary actor, and I did get to know him well, and he was a beautiful, amazing guy, and I think about him, and I think everybody that knew him, we think about him a lot. I don't know why, but I frequently will think about what would he think, what would he do? He was a beautiful, beautiful soul, and he was an incredible actor. And I felt kind of privileged to be sort of weirdly doubled with him for so many years. And we finally got to do that, which I think we exchanged 2 lines with each other in that movie. But we got to hang out a lot when we promoted the movie, which was really, really great.
Nice. So 2011 for you was Win-Win, The Ides of March, and then another project for HBO that brought a lot of acclaim and a SAG award. This was playing Ben Bernanke in the late Curtis Hanson's Too Big to Fail, a TV movie for HBO about the 2008 economic crisis. You, just to talk about range, right after that, you're Ralph the chauffeur in Rob Marshall's Saving Mr. Banks, sort of the follow-up to Mary Poppins.
Yeah.
And then you show up in a film that ended up winning the Best Picture Oscar. You were Theophilus Freeman, a really despicable slave trader in Steve McQueen's 12
Any
Years
other
a
kind of slave trader? They're all pretty despicable.
Yeah. That's fairly, that's a good point.
I don't think there's any other kind.
But I think we, that one in particular, we should pause to talk about. It's 10 years ago that it
Wow,
won
was
the
it really
Oscar.
10 years? Wow.
Yep. And, that's an all-timer. So what was your experience on that?
Well, I remember getting the script for that and thinking that was still one of the most amazing scripts I've ever read, because the language and the way that it captured the sort of tone of those slave narratives and the way it captured something about the period, it was very strange. It's a strange movie because it's a strange thing that happens to that man. It's like, and it's a kind of psychotic Alice in Wonderland thing, it's Kafkaesque. It's like what happens to that man. And the script really captures something quite amazing about it. It was a very intense movie to make. Yes, I had an incredibly despicable character to play. And, I remember Steve McQueen saying to me, "You seem like you're okay playing this guy." I said, "Well, you have to show these guys, that's like, they existed, and you got to show them." And it was a pretty intense. I've seen that movie once, and I don't know that I could handle seeing it again. Chiwetel Ejiofor is incredible in that movie. What he does at the end of that movie when he's reunited with his family is unbelievable acting. I mean, it is at the highest level. And the choices he makes, that he seems to be kind of ashamed about what he just went through for 12 years, is extraordinary. It's an amazing movie. It's an amazing movie.
Absolutely. Well, totally understand if you need to look away for this, but we are showing 2 clips now, Win-Win and 12 Years a Slave.